Well, hello there, YouTube. This is Mr. Gibson Guy here. Thanks for dropping by the channel. I have been turning out a series of videos recently of happy accidents, things that went wrong that ended up with incorrect exposures, and how they ended up making some very interesting photographs. And I had a lot of reception real quickly from these videos. They get a lot of notice real fast and a lot of views. And so I thought I was done with when I did 3 of them, but then I came across something else that is kind of a cousin to this whole plot. That is, it's a little bit different, but basically the same idea. And that is something that's popular with film photographers these days, it seems, and that's exposing out-of-date film. Now, you see I have my Nikon F3 up here on display because that's going to be the camera for this video. And this is, so let me just lay out the parameters of this. I starts out with a roll of Kodak Kodacolor Gold ASA 100 color negative film that went out of date in about 92, 93, somewhere on there, or early 1990s. This film went out of date. Somebody had later on had this sitting around for years, and then found out that I did some small degree of film photography. I was not doing much film photography. I was mostly using a little digital camera that was easy to carry around and hook right up to the computer. But I still had my Nikons, and I had this F3, and I wanted to go out and do some shooting, and I loaded my F3 with this roll of Kodacolor Gold, and this was around about 2013 or so. So it was the film at this time, when I loaded it into the camera, was about 20 years out of date. But I thought, well, I'm going to put it in and just shoot every once in a while, and every once in a while I'll take the camera out and shoot a few exposures. And then I went on from there. It built up for a couple of years. I shot some more exposures with it, and then I retired and I moved up to Central Florida, and on a few occasions pulled out the camera and did some more exposures. And now this was 10 years later, or more, 10 or 12 years later now, over a period of time, if you want to go back to the earliest exposures. So I now have exposures in the camera on one roll of film, taken 20 years old and up to 30 years old on the film. And then after I retired, moved up here, I took a few more photos just to finish off the roll, and took it in there, and had these photos developed. So I'm going to show you what these pictures look like for out-of-date film. This is kind of an interesting one here. This is Donna, and she's got her Nikon AP 5200, and she's using that while I was taking pictures of her. You can see this was taken in Margate, so this is about 2012, 2013, around then. And this is late afternoon. You can see this, the sun's coming in almost completely horizontal here. So this is just at the beginning of sunset, and this is 20-year out-of-date film. This is how it turns out. I have some other ones for you. I was taking pictures of her with the F3, and she was taking pictures of me with her AT-5200, and then got her her Mini. She had just traded in her Toyota RAV4, and she got this Mini Cooper. She really liked it. She had a lot of fun with that. That was before she gave up driving. This was when we were out at the park, and a guy went by on a motorcycle, and you can see it's a little bit blurred in that picture. All of these, one of the things about using old, out-of-date film is you're not going to get very sharp pictures on it, but you get interesting pictures anyway. That's a anhinga there, and there's a bunch of ducks that were swimming around. And then, okay, yeah, this is in Margate. This is over several different photo outings that we did, and this is in West Broward, and it's all built on swampland. So in the neighborhood, there's all these canals and lakes, and everything is interconnected because it's all part of the drainage system that the state water department keeps up to keep the place from being all underwater when we have storms, because that's its natural state, so they have to have a lot of drainage. And this is just kind of the sawgrass growing out of the water. And it's hard to tell much of what it is. And this one here is through the sawgrass and a tree on the other bank. So those are all taken around the same time, around 2013, 2014. I got a couple others there. They even have some fountains where they kind of air out the water, and the ducks like it around there. This is people's houses right around this. It's just a little corner of a park where the water is. And then these pictures were also taken in the same place, but a bit later, and you can see the color comes back more here. This is not set during sunset, but it is kind of late afternoon. Some ducks being a little out of focus, but colorful. And then here's another picture. You can see it's sort of late afternoon, but it's the seawall. Some of these places had just kind of like a rocky beach to the water, and then there was some of them that have little seawalls around their house, and because they'll back up on the lakes or the canal, and that's you keep from driving your lawnmower into the water there. And this was taken up here. So this is now exposure from, I think these are 2023. That's when I shot them, and finally developed this roll of film. And this is a picture that you've seen on another video, that this is the drop off, and this is off down the hill when you can see what it looks like. But the color, if you can see there's kind of trees and stuff here as it disappears over here. These are both the same picture. It's got the mailbox here and the mailbox here and the driveway here. There's the mailbox in the driveway. There's the other mailbox. And this is going over the hill here. And all the darker exposures just kind of disappear into shadows here because the film's at the maximum of its exposure latitude. And then I have also those, I took a couple others, other shots with, this was the end of the roll here. And this is a dead tree that was right on the corner of my land and my lot compared to the house next door to me. And you can see the colors change in these pictures a little bit just as we go through them. I think these were taken over a couple of different photo sessions here where I just went out and took a couple pictures because I was trying to use up the roll. And then you can see as it progresses, they get more and more natural looking. Shortly after this tree was knocked down and it went away. Now it's just a stump out there. But this is kind of the correct exposure, but this is all film which was in the camera, which was 20 years old before it went into the camera, and then had been in the camera for another dozen years. And this was the last of the exposures made with it. But all these different colors and all this come from that exposure with one roll of film spread out over about a 15-year period after being 20 years old, out of date. So that's the last of my, I think, last of my interesting exposures made on out-of-date film. And maybe you found that interesting, and we'll see what else we can add to the series, if there's any other old photos I can dig up that show that. But that's my experience with out-of-date film. So I hope you found that interesting, and until the next time, this is Mr. Gibson Guy. Thanks for visiting, and I'll see you on the next one.